today we're back working on 1725, hopefully wrapping it up and getting it running today. Off camera, I did install the oil filter and the dipstick. I apologize for not getting any video of that because I know those are a really complicated process to install. Sarcasm. I installed the distributor riser, and I also threw on a fuel inlet hose for the fuel pump. I had to get a barbed fitting for it because nowhere local has the fuel line that I need. You're supposed to run like a stainless, maybe nylon, but I was going to run a stainless line in it, and it needs to be, I believe it was 7/16 OD. Everywhere local has 7/16 ID, and a 1/2 inch is way too sloppy. So I'm just running it like this for now until I can special order the line which I need. But today we just got to throw on the distributor, get the timing all set, carburetor, intake, exhaust, timing cover, and it's ready to fire up. We got brake-in oil, we got a can of gas, we got an oil pressure tester, so we have everything we need. My wife's in the house cooking right now, but she'll be out shortly to help with recording and everything because I'm not going to record the entire thing with one hand. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, so I'm going to throw the manifolds on, but I want to show you exactly how bad the exhaust manifold that I have is. So this is the intake manifold. As you can see, it's in really good shape. Honestly, just needs the old gasket scraped off, and it'll mate right up, no problem. Exhaust manifold, on the other hand, now this has been cleaned up, and it's kind of hard to tell on camera, but you have these low spots, especially right here. It's not hard to tell on camera at all. You guys can see that. Yeah, that's not going to seal. That is just not going to seal. I'm trying to get it. Yeah, look at that. So I don't even think I'm going to use the gasket on this for this run because I want to fire this up today. I'm not going to wait for a new manifold. I don't think I'm going to use the gasket. I might. It's a paper gasket. I might use the gasket. But the point is, this is not going to seal. And the problem is, this can probably be milled down to create a smooth surface for it to seal right up. However, with the way these interlock with each other, you can see there's one bolt that goes through there, and there's one bolt that goes through on this end that holds both of them on. It's really strange. So I can't really mill this one down because then when you tighten the bolt up, they're not gonna match up. You know, they're not gonna have the same torque on them. So I'm gonna have to source a new one of these, but we're gonna run it for today. Another odd thing is there is this brake right here on the exhaust manifold, which that's just how these are designed. Now, if you look on the head, there is a bolt that goes there right in the middle. So you're supposed to buy, there's supposed to be a bracket that bridges across here and allows you to kind of tighten down that middle section. I don't know why. If somebody has an explanation and can tell me why they didn't just continue this all the way across, please let me know, because that just seems like nonsense to me.
That sounds like pure nonsense to me.
Right.
I'd rather not.
All right, so pause. I just went to throw these on, and another thing that I'm realizing is I have two almost identical gaskets. I don't know. I mean, everything lines up the same. The bolt holes line up the same. This one's a little bit different at the bottom. I don't think that matters. I don't know why they sent me two gaskets, but if somebody could tell me why there's two separate gaskets, please do. I can only assume it's a difference in heads. Maybe there's a slight difference in heads between the ears of the motors or something, so they just throw in both gaskets. I don't know, but the good news is now I have a backup gasket, so when I replace the manifold, I can just throw the other one on. These are two different materials, though, I think. So, I don't know. All right, so some of the old gasket material I just scraped off here, and you can see, like right there, that's a darker material, so I think I'm supposed to use the darker gasket. And if you look at the difference between right here on this gasket, here on this gasket, you can see where the old gasket made it up. So it is the darker gasket, more than likely, that I should be installing. Like I said, I don't really know the difference between the two. So we're going to throw this one in. This will be the one that we run. I just got to scrape a little bit more off here. This bolt is shorter to avoid hitting this head bolt. These are dead end holes on each end. The bolts which I have are slightly too long. This one I threw 2 washers in. However, I don't have enough washers for both sides. However, I found an exhaust bolt from my Ford F100 that is the right length and slides right in. So I'm tightening these down. I don't think I have the nuts for those, but I'm going to try and find something. Like I said, I'm really not concerned if this manifold leaks, because it's going to anyways, but I would rather... There we go. I'd rather get it tightened down, so... Intake manifold is done. We're ready to throw the carb on. Woo! Sheesh. So check this out. I was digging through my box over there because I figure some of these parts that I have to have the size nut that I need, right? Maybe. I found this, which that appears to be the correct thread pitch. And it appears to be the right size. So I'm going to try and steal the nuts off this, whatever the hell this is. Some kind of ignition coil, maybe. But I didn't even need to buy a distributor. Check it out. I found the original one, and it's in amazing condition too. So that's sweet. Looks like it came off the Titanic. But it still has the cap, which honestly this cap might be useful. I probably could reuse these wires too. I'm not going to because I got new wires, but yeah, that's crusty. Alright, so turns out that the bolts on whatever this is some kind of relay. I don't know, some kind of relay. This can't be an ignition coil. Anyway, the bolts that were on this are too small. So I'm not running all the way back to Tractor Supply. I already went to Tractor Supply once today to get the bolts for the distributorizer and the nuts for the carburetor. I know that I said in the previous video Tractor Supply is close. What I meant by that is it's the closest. It's still 20 minutes there and 20 minutes back. So I'm not doing that again. But this is on tight, sealed up. Those nuts really shouldn't matter. I'm going to get nuts for it eventually. Don't freak out. I'm going to have to replace the manifold anyway. So we're ready to throw the carb on. It's starting to rain. Ready to throw the carb on. Then we will do the timing cover, crank pulley, and then distributor. We're ready to fire it up. So we might as well. I don't have a gasket for this, fun fact. However, there are 2 gaskets on here from the previous owner, so we're just going to use those. Is it going to cause a vacuum leak? Probably. But this is a vacuum leak. This is a vacuum leak. I'm going to have to seal those up. But we're just trying to get it running today. So we're not really going to worry too much about that. But I don't know exactly what way this goes on. I'm sure it doesn't matter when it comes to running the engine. However, when it's in the car, let's see, what side is the throttle linkage on? Oh, there, I just broke that. Good thing that don't matter. All right, so the throttle's on this side, which means firewall is going to be back here. So we'll go this way with it. All right, I got the nuts. We'll get those popped on. So this over here, come on around, I'll show you. I had to look up what this is. This is completely different to me than the Edelbrock that I had on my F100. So kind of a learning curve. This is apparently an anti-dieseling solenoid or an anti-dieseling device of some kind. So when you turn off the engine, this will cut the ignition completely, I believe is the way it was described. So that way you don't have dieseling after you turn the engine off. We're not going to use it unless we end up having dieseling issues. Then we'll throw it back on, but I don't want to deal with it. It's a lot. It has a coolant-powered choke on it, which I'm going to get rid of. I'm just going to do a cable choke. But let's put the nuts on this, see if we can get to seal up a little bit, and then we're ready to move on to the timing cover and crank. All right, carburetor's on. Time to throw on the timing cover, crank pulley. I'm going to show you something really weird about these motors. I mean, really weird. At least weird to me. Maybe it's just something I've never heard of before. So a lot of motors have a seal around where the crank or the harmonic balancer sits. and the timing cover. This one, however, does not. There's no seal in here. This ring, which this is not uncommon, this ring is there to throw oil around inside the timing cover and lube everything up. But what's strange to me is that that ring is the only thing preventing oil from leaking out of this cover. All right, so I don't know if you guys can see it in the video, but where these bolts tighten up to the engine block, around the holes are kind of raised. They're kind of lifted up from somebody over tightening the timing cover. And so what the professionals do at the machine shop is they just take a hammer and they just bang them back down.
Dude.
So I'm just going to do that to the worst of them. Doesn't got to be perfect. Shit. So, I just realized, I was looking at some stuff, these motor mounts look like they have the same bolt size as the exhaust manifold. So I'm going to rob a few of these bolts for now. Just take the motor mounts off because we don't need them yet. Set them aside and use the bolts for the exhaust manifold. It'll make me feel a little bit better about it. Like I said, it is sealing up, but might as well get it to seal the best we possibly can. It's kind of in a pain of a spot, though. Uh-oh. Hand company. There goes fucking up the yard. Shit. I'm trying to go grass!
Dude, I'm actually really sorry.
This guy, dude. Alright, so I got my buddy Adam here. This guy has built countless motors.
Oh, yeah.
In his days.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah, you know me, I'm an expert.
If I gave him like $400, he could build this thing up to like 1,000
I know what
horsepower.
I'm doing.
He knows what he's doing. So some idiot didn't put the lid back on the RTV, so now it's clogged up.
That's safe.
I know. No, it's just... Let me just... Oh, there we go. Alright, that'll work. Alright. So now I'm just going to give this kind of a dousing. In RTV. There's a lot of RTV. This thing's never going to leak. Alright, so now... I'll just smear this around. Dude, this thing is never gonna leak. If this leaks, I might honestly just kill myself.
You're supposed to say unalive on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Can you get in trouble on YouTube for saying kill yourself?
Supposedly. I mean, you're probably not...
I said it in one of my videos, but I also only get like 3 views. There we go. Alright, now I'll just slap RTV on the other side of the gasket and put her on. Hopefully I'm not missing any bolts. Here, you want to do me a favor? Use like your pinky and hold that and push it up against the chain there. It's a really weird design, but that's how the tensioner is. And then I got to go over. Dude, you're going to get some of this on your finger, no doubt.
Right.
Oh. Right.
You know, you could have given me a pair of gloves.
There you go. You don't need gloves. Gloves are for pansies, dude.
Uh.
How did he team up with you? Harmonic balancer is going on.
Okay.
Alright. Now, never do what I just did. You're supposed to use the bolt to pull it on, but that's okay. We ball. Now the bolt goes on. Dude, it's exciting. Now we have to just throw the distributor on, plug in all the wires, and we're good to start it.
Hey. No.
Give me that. Give me that.
I could never do that to that dog. He'd probably try to kill me.
Yeah, he'd rip your face off. We're gonna verify top dead center on the compression stroke on cylinder 1 again, because I'm a moron, and I keep doing that and then rotating the engine. Alright, so that on the compression stroke. Alright, so I'm also verifying on the harmonic balancer that the timing arm here lines up with top dead center, which it does, and we want 11 degrees before top dead center. We're going to set it to 0 for now, and then we'll throw the distributor in and make any adjustments after.
Man, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Why you so sensitive? Alright, so it's time for the distributor to go on. So, take off the distributor cap. Now we are going to want this rotor lined up as good as possible with cylinder 1. Going this way. I gotta get some assembly lube on that. That's to hold up. What's the big idea, eh?
Whoa!
That.
Should have thought through that better.
That's lined up pretty good with this rotor. So this will be for cylinder 1. So, real quick, gotta remember that's cylinder 1. All right, nice satisfying click too. All right, here's number 1, and now we have to figure out the firing order. So I'm gonna look that up real quick. So firing order is 1, 3, 4, 2. So now we're going to put on number 3. 1, 3. It's right here. Oh, I didn't verify what direction this spins. Ah, so it goes counterclockwise. Okay. Alright, so I'm glad I looked because I would have hooked everything up completely backwards. I'll pop this back on. And now this one will go here. Wow, those go in nice. 1, 3, 4, 2, that's what I said, right? So now it's time for the final part. I got a brand new coil pack. I didn't realize that I already have 3 coil packs. One of these probably works, but I'm going to steal the bracket off this one to use on this one. I think they're the same. Close enough. It'll probably work. Now we just got to throw the coil pack on, because if you look, we have all the wires hooked up for the spark plugs to the distributor. So now all we have to do is hook up the coil pack, and we'll be ready to put it on the ground, put the starter on, and hopefully fire it up. All right, you might have a stroke when you see where I'm putting this, but this is just a temporary solution, because I'm pretty sure these actually mount inside the fender on the Sunbeam. I'm just trying to find somewhere to secure it for now while we test run the engine. So right here on the head it is. All right, we should have spark now. All that's done. We should have spark. So
These nuts.
got him. Ready? Looped over. Good.
Okay, I'll grab the.
Careful with the chains. All right, so now let me move this, and this is gonna be a little bit sketchy. We're gonna take the motor off the stand so we can let it down, because we can't put the starter on where it's at or the flywheel. So I have my trusty $4 Harbor Freight ratchet straps, which I'm sure will do just fine. So now I'm just going to put out there that I have emphasized don't do anything I do, but I really mean it this time. There are far more effective ways to do this. You get it till it's got a little tension. Got a little. I'll take those bolts out. comes out. Put the stand under it. I was gonna slap it on a stand. Alright, so we managed to get the motor off the motor stand and move to my brand new state-of-the-art engine run stand, which I'm super excited to use. Without further ado, we have a tire and some bricks. It's kind of stable enough, so
Maybe.
dude. So you guys didn't see that, but the engine almost fell.
You were like, this ain't going anywhere, and then it immediately started to fall over.
Ready? Pull your way a little. Need something to keep this side down though. I hope I have bolts that fit this. So we're throwing the flywheel on. I don't think I have all the bolts for the flywheel, so there's 2 in here. Unless these are the same size. They don't appear to be. So I'm just gonna throw it on with 2 bolts. Should be enough to hold it for the time being. Alright, so we're getting ready to roll it over. What we're gonna do is we're gonna roll it over, check and make sure that it gets oil pressure. Once we know that it has oil pressure, we can go to attempt to start it. So I have all the wiring here, maybe, but I got engine brake and oil from Lucas. I don't know the oil capacity.
What the fuck?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Dude.
So I forgot that the tappet cover wasn't on, so we had a bit of an oil leak, but I wanted to keep the tappet cover off so I could look in there and make sure that everything is going where it should be going.
The drinking that fever, and here you go, fever. You're drinking the juice, you're fever.
Alright, that's good for now, I think. Alright, so now she's got oil.
Oil?
See if she cranks.
Well, you didn't put the ground down.
Oh, yeah. Alright. Let's not fry everything.
This is burning up over here. That's fucking melted to hell.
So I forgot to address, you might be wondering what is going on with these starter bolts. I didn't have the right size, and I just had these laying around, and I refused to go back to Tractor Supply again, so this is what we got. Now, the proper wires, hopefully we can get it to, what did this go to? There we go. I think the battery's dying, dude.
Probably.
Battery died, so we thought, how could we possibly make this more sketchy? And we're gonna put it on the jump box and try and start it that way. So, put this little guy on 50 amps. We still didn't get any oil pressure. Once we get oil pressure, we can try and start it up, but... Alright, here we go. Ready? So in a perfect world, you'd do this with a battery that is actually decent. I pulled a crappy battery that actually hardly works to begin with, so that I'm sure doesn't help. Alright, so this is with the battery from the daily, so hopefully we'll get some pressure now. Alright, pop it off, pop it off. Alright, so we're wrapping it up for the day. We got it to crank a few times. We couldn't get it to crank enough to build oil pressure because the first battery that we used ended up dying. The second battery that we used was trying to send too much juice and we couldn't get a good connection anywhere, so that idea is kaput. So we put the battery back in the car. We're going to charge the truck battery overnight and then try again tomorrow. I just want to make sure that we get oil pressure before trying to fire it up. So we're going to move everything into the garage, and then next video will be solely based on trying to get it running because we have everything here now. It's all together. So, wow. Oh, Mew.
I can't.